So I'm kneeling here on these mulch pathways. We put all of these in June of last year, preparing for Salem Pathways. Literally, pathways throughout the historic district, but also figuratively, because we have a new program that you can access on your own through your smartphone, and you can learn about historic figures who lived and worked in the town of Salem. So on April 1st, we actually are finally able to launch Salem Pathways. We'll give you more information about it, but rest assured, we're really working hard to make these pathways something that are going to be both educational and really fun to bring your family and spend a Saturday in the historic district. I love our gardens. And right now, the gardens are prepared for the new season for 2021. We produced over 3 tons of vegetables for local food banks. It's pretty amazing that we were able to transform these in ways that really serve the community. Our leadership team decided that it was so successful and we felt so good about being able to provide that for our local families that we're going to continue that. One of the only things growing right now is this bed of garlic. But each one of these raised beds will continue to give produce throughout this year. If you've taken any socially distanced walks through the historic district in the last year, you may have noticed that our historic venues, like the Mitch House behind me, are in need of some TLC. One of the reasons is that we've been doing planning. And one of our planning preservation surveys has to do with cosmetic repainting and touch-up painting of our buildings. So for this year, in 2021, we're really going to be concentrating on repainting, touch-up painting, and other preservation issues to the historic venues. So when we do open up, everything will look fantastic. The street work is not the only bit of physical changes that are taking place in the historic district. I'm kind of standing at one of the ones that probably seems imperceptible to most people. Before COVID closure, this whole area was open. And now what we've done is we've built a fence. We've got this great gate right here, and we've started to really define the areas that our educational programming occurs within. So sprinkled throughout the district, kind of keep your eyes open because you're going to see fences and gates. All of these things are to tighten up how we provide a really strong visitor experience when we do open up again. We've been planning what kind of operations 2021 will bring us. One of the things that's really important to understand is that around 60% of our visitor attendance comes from school groups, and around 70% of our earned revenue comes from those school groups. So as you can tell, we can't operate with just walk-in visitors alone and provide the same level of visitor experience. So what we've done is we've established a series of goals that we want to kind of keep us honest about how we're operating this year. The first goal is about how true we are to making sure that fiscally we are responsible and that we don't grow a large deficit while we wait for the school groups to come back. The second goal is that we ramp up our staff and our operations according to when the school groups come back. The third element is that we've determined to bring all of our endowment draws down to 5%, which is industry standard. We're very close to doing that. So even during this very difficult time, our leadership team is dedicated to keeping our goal of getting our endowment draws down to 5%. Our fourth goal for 2021 is to really continue something that we started last year, and that is to really expand our robust digital, social media, and video presentations. We have started a Learning in Place teacher and administrator advisory committee, and they've told us how important and how valuable our videos from last year are. And so we're going to not only continue those, but expand. Our fifth goal for 2021 is that we continue baking bread and growing vegetables for local food banks. As I mentioned before, this is something that we feel really strongly about, and we're dedicating money and staff time toward keeping this going. And finally, our goal for 2021 is to remain flexible and open to new data, both about COVID-19, but also about our financials and our operations. Between all of that, we feel like we have a really clear path forward, and I'm looking forward to it. One of the questions I get over and over again is, since Old Salem and the Museum of Early Southern Decorative Arts are closed, is anyone taking care of the buildings? Is anyone taking care of the collections? Well, the answer is absolutely. We have a full curatorial team working on all of the artifacts, both at MESDA and our collections facilities. We also have a maintenance crew that are constantly working on the buildings. You know, we've been really working on things that have been a little bit behind the scenes, but as I mentioned earlier, we are going to be moving on more cosmetic items like painting of buildings and reshingling and things like that. Easily, the number one question I've been getting for the last year is, when will Old Salem and the Museum of Early Southern Decorative Arts open up? Unfortunately, the answer to that question is complicated, and it's probably not one you want to hear. Our operations are directly tied to the finances we receive from visitors, and 60% of our visitors are school groups. So if you take that chunk of visitation out of our finances, it makes it virtually impossible to open up in a way that was pre-COVID. And we know that school groups most likely won't be visiting us next year. So a lot of this has to do with us remaining flexible and open to changes, open to when the school system will allow school groups to return. It's important for all of us to appreciate that Old Salem, even though we're a historic district and we're a living history museum, just like the modern city of Winston-Salem behind us, we exist within a modern framework of finances and operations. So stick with us. Thank you for your contributions to keep us going, and we are planning on doing everything we can in a measured, thoughtful way for 2021 and 2022. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you in person in the Historic District.